Good morning. Let's start today's discussion. Fine. So to start with, let's come to the topic of the day. The first one is very interesting. Recently launched program called the PM3. Okay. This is a school upgradation program. So mail करो तक. Fine. This is a school upgradation program. Fine. So PM3, that Ministry of Education has recently launched this PM3 program, Pradhan Mantri School for Rising India, or PM Schools for Rising India. But the name suggests it is the PM School for Rising India. Fine. It's the name of the program. So PM Schools for Rising India, or PM3. Okay. PMSRI, School for Rising India. Okay. So, as the Prime Minister announced that 14,500 schools across India will be upgraded to showcase component of National Education Policy 2020 declared last year by the Government of India. Okay, by which the ministry name was changed from HRD to Education, and government decided to allocate 6% of the GDP for education, for holistic development of the education sector in the country. So the big transformation in Indian schooling program was launched, known as the Pradhan Mantri School for Rising India. Under the scheme, 14,500 schools across Indian states and Union territory will be redeveloped. But existing schools will be redeveloped. That means the projects will be not greenfield but brownfield. Brownfield projects. Because existing schools will be developed. No new school will be opened, but existing schools will be developed with better infrastructure. Okay. The idea was first discussed with the education ministers, the states and Union territory during a conference organized by the Ministry of Education in June at Gandhinagar in Gujarat. The center has held many rounds of discussion with the states on implementation of the scheme. The idea of PM3 was to create a set of schools that could be able to act as new national education policy labs. Because this PM3 program will create a set of schools, okay, to act as the new education policy implementation labs. Government want to implement the new education policy, okay, launched last year, and this program will develop some schools to act as the NEP labs, where the new education policy will be fully implemented. Okay, fine. Moving further, but the key features, the NEP for school envisages a curricular structure and teaching style categorized in four stages: foundational, preparatory, middle and secondary. The school education system has been divided into four stages: foundational stage, then the preparatory stage, then the middle stage, and the secondary education stage. According to the NEP, the foundational year, preschool and grades, standard 1 and 2, okay, should involve play-based learning at the preparatory level, grade 3 and 5, 3 to 5. Light textbooks are to be introduced along with some formal classroom teaching. Okay. Then at the third stage, the subject teachers are to introduce at the middle level, grade 6 to 8, and the secondary stage from 9th to 12th will be multidisciplinary with no hard separation between art and sciences and other disciplines, because this NEP want to introduce multidisciplinary education system in our country in the model of similar system in operation in foreign countries. Fine. So that is called. So in the secondary stage, that is from class 9 to 12, okay, it will be multidisciplinary with no hard separation between arts and science. That means student can take a combination of both arts and science literature subject. Like with this chemistry, he can go for economics or polity or geography. Fine. So, okay, it also proposed that board exams will be held twice a year. So, board exams will be held twice a year, including one for helping students to improve their score. If someone is unable to score a good mark in the first attempt, so he will get a chance to repeat in the second examination to upgrade his scoring or to increase his score in the second attempt. That's why the board examination will be held twice in a year. Okay, to provide a scope to the students to upgrade their marks in case they are unable to score good marks in the first attempt due to some issue or the other. Okay, fine. uh, a standard paper and that two types of paper mathematics should be offered: standard paper and a different one for test higher level of competency. Mathematics will be standard or higher. So EG mathematics will be the standard paper, and those who want to appear for the higher standard of mathematics, they will be opting for a higher level of competency, and questions will be different for them in the examination. Fine. This is the provision of the NEP 2020 or National Education Policy 2020. So this will be a centrally sponsored scheme. A centrally sponsored scheme is one in which the cost of implementation is mostly split in the 60-40 ratio between the center and the states. That means the central government bears 60% of the cost, and the state government who want to implement this particular program, okay, so as to bear 40% of the cost. So this is known as a centrally sponsored scheme as compared to talented students in the rural parts of the country. Fine. KBs are normal in the urban area. Okay, the urban area for the children of these central government employees and even some state government employees and public sector employees. So these Kendra Vidyalayas are open, and the Jabhar Navodaya Vidyalaya are open in the rural area, provide standard educational infrastructure for the rural people. Okay, for rural India students. Okay. PMC schools will be an upgraded of existing schools run by the center, state, union, territory, and local body. That means the PMC program will cover, okay, schools run by the center, the states, the union territory, and the local body like the municipalities. Even some schools in our country are also run by the municipalities and the urban local body and rural local body. The PMC program will cover even the school managed by the urban and rural local body in the country. Fine. This is the most uniqueness. Centers, the schools run by the central government, schools run by the state government, and schools run by the Indian Territorial Administration, and even the schools run by the local bodies, urban local body and rural local bodies will also be included under the PM3 program of school transformation. Okay, lunch by the Union Ministry of Education. Fine. So you can see in Odisha for the last 2 years, Government of Odisha has done the school transformation program, and through this school transformation program launched by Government of Odisha, you can see the central minister being a person from Odisha. Okay, and this can be share in influence of the success of the school transformation program launched by the state government. The government of Odisha government has launched a school transformation program to improve the infrastructure in the selected schools. Okay, so this PM3 will be similar. Okay, will be similar programs launched by the government of India. Fine. They are fully funded. Okay, the KB, okay, the PMC school will be upgraded existing schools run by the center, state, union territory, and the local bodies. Fine. Moving further, this essentially means that the PM3 schools can be an upgraded KB, a Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, or even a school that is run by the state government or a municipal corporation. So remember this. These PM3 schools, okay, can be upgraded version by Kendra Vidyalaya, Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, so run by the state government and the municipal corporation. Okay, where and how the PM3 scheme will be application based, which means state will have to identify schools for upgradation under the scheme. Subsequently, schools will be required to self-apply online. Okay, that means first stage, state will have to identify. The states will identify which schools will be included under the PMC, and the schools will be required to apply self-apply online. The portal will be open 4 times in a year, once every quarter for the first 2 years of the scheme. Okay. According to the selection methodology decided by the central government, state and union territory, interested in first agree to implement NEP in its entirety. This is most important. The states or union territory in the PMC program must first do that they will implement the NEP 2020 in full. Okay. Also, only those schools that meet a certain benchmark will qualify, and the qualification criteria will include around 60 parameters from the availability of electricity to the toilets. Okay. So, there will be 60 parameters based on which this upgradation will took place, starting from electricity to the toilet facility available in the school. Okay. So third stage, a team of state government officials, Kendra Vidyalaya and Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, will verify the claims made by the applicant school through a physical inspection. Okay. Maximum 2 schools, one elementary and one secondary or senior secondary school, will be selected for block, okay, urban local body as per the plan. The final call will be taken by the expert committee. So, as per this program, so 2 schools per block or urban local body will be selected for inclusion in the PM3 program. Fine. And a thorough inspection and verification mechanism consisting of many experts in the domain will first verify the claims made by the schools, and based on the expert committee's recommendation, fine. So the schools will be allowed to join in this program. Fine. Those schools will fulfill the criteria will be allowed to join in the program. Fine. Then moving further, the difference, how PMC school will be different from the existing government run schools remain to be seen. However, as per the plan, the upgraded schools are expected to be superior in terms of infrastructure. That means, so better infrastructures will be created in the schools selected under the PMC program. They'll be equipped with labs, smart classroom, okay, library, sports equipments, art room, etc. And shall also be developed as green schools with water conservation, waste recycling, energy efficient infrastructure, and integration of organic lifestyles in curriculum. Okay, so they will be updated with all the better infrastructure for learning habits, okay, like lab, smart classroom, smart boards, library, sports equipments, art room, etc. And also caring for the environment and ecology, there will be green schools with water conservation, water recycling, okay, energy efficient infrastructure, and integration of organic lifestyle in curriculum. Okay, this school will also offer mentorship to other schools in their vicinity. Okay, in terms of quality of education, there will be a special module on improving foundational literacy and numeracy. Each schools will be linked connected to higher education institutions for mentoring, and there will be provisions for internship with local artisans. Okay, pedagogy adopted in these schools will be more experimental, holistic, integrated, play toy based, okay, inquiry driven, discovery oriented, learner centered, discussion based, flexible, and enjoyable. So the course curriculum or pedagogy, okay, adopted in these schools will be more on experimental, holistic, and integrated basis. Okay, so the pedagogy in the school, experimental, holistic, integrated, and toy based. Fine. Focus will be on learning outcomes of every child in every grade. Assessment at all levels will be based on conceptual understanding and application of knowledge to real life situations, and will be competency based. That means the actual learning outcomes of the child will be judged in these schools, and these schools will be groomed to be the model for others schools in that locality. Fine. Okay. So this is what is the program regarding the PMC for the school education. Okay. Schools for the New India. Okay. Then historical tidbits, early history of Kashmir and the Martland Temple issue. Okay. In May 2022, some pilgrims offered prayers inside the Matland Temple, and Archaeological Survey of India protected monument. And soon after, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha participated in a Navgad Ashtamangalam Puja on the premises. The ASI objected to this, saying no permission was granted for the ceremony. 2 months later, in July, another group of people entered the temple and held an hour-long prayer session. This temple is not open, means it is not normal prayers and puja are not offered in the temple. But since the Lieutenant Governor offered the puja, so people are flocking to the premises and offering puja, which is an protected premises of the ASI, and without ASI permission, as these events took place, So ASI opposed to these events. Fine. The Matlan temple was built by the Kakota dynasty king Lalitaditya Muktapida. Okay, written by Kalhana. Okay, so the history of Kashmiri is more known from the writing of Kalhana, and this name is Dastarangini, the text by Kalhana, and various translations of the work contains description of the Matlan grandeur. Historians G.M.D. Sufi in his book Kashmiri writes the celebrated temple of the than any other ancient temple, being 63 feet long. The stone carving is very fine indeed. According to G.T. Bigne, the traveler, as an isolated ruin, this deserves an account of its solidarity, okay, solitary and massive grandeur to be ranked not only as the first ruin of the kind in Kashmir, but as one of the noblest among the architectural relics of antiquity that could be seen in any country. Another view is that there is something of the rigidity and strength of the Egyptian temple and sometimes of the grace of Greece. Okay. Though owe much to the influence of Gandhara, the sculptures show a close connection with the typical Hindu work of the late Gupta period. Fine. What are the architectural features of this Martan temple? According to experts from the ruins of the temple, it is evident that the complex originally consisted of a principal shrine at the center of the quadrangular courtyard, flanked towards the north and south by the two small structures. It appears that the central courtyard was initially filled with water supplied by a canal from river Lida to a level which immersed almost 1 foot of the base of the columns. The courtyard was enclosed by a colonnade which seemed to have 84 pillars. Temple are built of huge blocks of evenly dressed grey limestone by making use of lime mortars. Because cement was not available then, lime mortars were used to joint the to hit the joints. This is remarkable because of the use of lime mortar, which encountered in the northeast Indian generally after establishment of the Delhi Sultanate in the 13th century, and points to the Lalitadya employing immigrants' Byzantine architecture in the particular structure. The temple is influenced by classical Greco-Roman, Buddhist Gandhara and North Indian style. This can be explained by Kashmiri and the Greece and to architects from other empires making their way to Kashmir. Lalitaditya is known to have subjugated the king of Kanauja, which can be one of the reasons for North India workers building this temple. Fine. So there is evidence of North Indian war. Alexander Cumming, also called the father of Indian archaeology, assumes that a two-tiered pyramidal roof must have covered not only the central site but other two smaller shrines in stone. What history tells about the destruction of the Matan temple? Many historians believe Sultan Sikandar, okay, uh, an iconoclast, was behind the destruction of this particular temple. Others blame earthquake, fault in the temple's masonry, and simple passage of time in one area prone to weather excesses. For those who believe that Sikandar responsible, one of the main source of each poet historian Jonna Raja, who wrote the okay the Experts conclude that the temple appears to have been destroyed by earthquake. Viable nature of the material, huge frost and snow causing natural weathering and improper fitting of stones at their joints. 3 centuries after Lalita Ditya and 2 centuries before Sikandar existed a Hindu 89 AD to 1101 AD of the last Lohara dynasty. Horses' action against the temple had nothing to do with religion. He was simply a prolific king who ran out of money and began looting temples for treasure and for the precious metal of the idols. However, Harsha appears to have spared the Martanda temple a few years before his father had drawn his last breath. So it is also different grounds are suggested for the destruction of the temple. Okay, so there is some famous rulers that in the early history of Kashmir. Okay, and there is some link to nature. Okay, responsibility of nature and okay, and some put the responsibility on some rulers and some put the blame on the material used in the temple construction, which led to its uh, structure on decay in course of time. Fine. Okay. Nira Tatpura, work from Kashmir of 7th century AD, informs that Kashmiri had a strong, persistent tradition of Naka worship. When Ashoka's missionary Machinta come to Kashmir to preach Buddhism in the 3rd century BC, he had to contend with the Naka cult. Huensang informed that, okay, the Majantika achieved remarkable success. Okay, Kanishka converted the 4th Buddhist council in Kashmir, and at the end of he had the Tripitaka treatise engraved on copper plates and deposited in a stupa in the valley. Okay. Huensa, who stayed in Kashmir, saw in the valley about 5,000 Buddhist priests and Viharaj. Oku, who visited Kashmir during the 8th century AD, also found Buddhism in a flourishing state. The Kalkutta king, who were followers of Brahmanical religion, but they extended liberal patronage to Buddhism also. Kashmiri Sarvastivada sect and played an important role in the spread of Buddhism and Buddhist art beyond India to Afghanistan, Central Asia, Tibet, and China. After 8th century, Buddhism was overshadowed by Shaivism and Vaishnavism. Kashmiri fostered a destructive four-faceted Vaikuntha form of Vishnu. Okay. Utpal, a king from Sankara Parmana, Hanuman were more inclined towards Shaivism. Kashmiri was a citadel of Pasupata sect. Fine. Some of the other important temples in Kashmir are Shankaracharya temple, okay, the Pandrinath temple, okay, Shankara Guru Vam temple, okay, Naranga temple, Abasti Swami temple, okay, Loduk temple, and uh, Mamaleshwara temple. Fine. But this temple is in use, the structure was in use because of the reset worship that was started by the Lieutenant Governor and subsequently by the devotees. which is a archaeological protected site. Okay, and that's why ASI has complained that more and more may enter the premise to the temple and may lead to more decay of the ancient remains of the temple. Fine. Then the next news is about science. The Chinese fully solar power semi-satellite drone. China was able to launch a semi-satellite drone, means drone of a larger size. Fine. China's first fully solar power unmanned aerial vehicle (UAV) or drone. Okay, what this is in news is, so fully solar powered unmanned aerial vehicle or drone by China has successfully completed its maiden test flight with all onboard system functioning optimally. Fine. But the new machine with the wingspan of 164 feet 164 feet. The drone is larger machine powered entirely by solar panels. The high altitude, long endurance of UAV can stay airborne for long duration. Named the Wings 50 or the Morning Star 50, this drone flies about 20 km altitude where there is stable airflow with no clouds. This helps these drones to make the maximum use of solar equipment to stay functional for extended duration. It can operate without a break for months, even for years. Because of its huge solar panels, it can be in operation for a longer period because the entire system operates through solar power. Fine. The drone can operate in near space 20 km to 100 km large surface, make it capable of carrying out satellite-like function because it will operate in low Earth orbit, 20 km to 100 kilometers large surface. So it is like it can function in low Earth orbit. Fine. It is a drone. Drone normally has a limited span because the fuel is exhausted and the drone has to get be brought back. But this particular a long period, and as it will be in 20 to 100 kilometers altitude, so it can function like an satellite. Okay, and innumerable function can be performed by this particular drone. Okay, if satellite service are not available for say time sensitive operation or in case of wartime disruption, the near space UAV can step in to fill the operational gap. These drones are also referred to as high altitude platform stations or pseudo satellites. Okay, what they are called as? They are called as high altitude platform stations or pseudo satellites. China already has this capacity, but the Queen's 50 long engaging provides an added advantage to make this capability available over a longer period. In July 2022, the US Army helped test a solar powered near space Airbus Jaipur S drone that set a new record by being airborne for 42 days at test range. So it remained in the air for 42 days. Fine. Both these drones can undertake surveillance mission that requires them to stay operational watching over borders or oceans for months. So this is the new role. They can be easy to launch and operate. Being entirely powered by clean energy from the sun, the present one can help boost China's capabilities to operate in near space and over the ocean. The Heli UAV is capable of conducting high altitude reconnaissance apart from monitoring forest fires, providing communications and environment related activities. Fine. So this is the most powerful drone developed by China, and another country which has developed such drone is USA. Okay. So then the next news is about the festival called Onam. Okay. The President of India has sent our greetings to all fellow citizens on the eve of Onam. Onam is an annual cultural festival in Kerala. Okay. It is celebrated in Kerala. It is an official festival of the state and includes the spectrum of cultural events. Onam commemorates King Mahabali and Vamana. Okay, Vamana is the avatar of Lord Vishnu. Okay, Onam is celebrated in remembrance of the good governance under the rule of Mahabali, a mythical king who ruled Kerala for a long period. The date of Onam celebration is based on the Panchangam, the fall on the 22nd Nakshatra Okay, Tirubunam in the month Chingam of Malayalam calendar. Okay, and coming to historical evidences, the earliest known reference to Onam is found in Maturo Kachi, a Sangam era Tamil poem. It mentions Onam being celebrated in Madurai temple in Kerala. Okay, it is a very famous festival in Kerala, observed all over the state. The 9th century Pithakas and the Pandya by the Periyacha describe Onam celebrations and offering to Vishnu. Okay, Lord Vishnu is prayed during Onam because the Brahman avatar of Vishnu is worshipped. Mention feast and community events. The 11th century inscription in the Trikatha temple dedicated to Brahmana mentioned a series of offerings made by a bhuttery over 2 days prior to the Tiruvana. The 12th century inscription in the Tirumala temple dedicated to Vishnu mentions Onam and the states a donation was made to the temple at the Onam festival offering. Udanta Sastrin, a South Indian Sanskrit poet, visiting the port of Jamori, okay, the then ruler, has written about a festival called Sravana, okay, otherwise known as the Onam. It is presumed that this verse is also about the festival Onam, which he has mentioned as Sravana. Okay. Thiruvarithikar is a women's dance performed in circle around the lamp. Uh, Kumarathikali is a colorful mass dance. Onam Kali is a form of dance where players arrange themselves in circle around a pole or a tree or lamp, then dance and sing songs derived from the Ramayana or the epics. Kathakali performances are a part of Onam tradition, with dancer enacting characters from the various ancient Indian legends. Okay, this is a very famous festival and it is called the state festival in Kerala and observed with grandeur by the state. Fine. Then the next is a program on the news and science Setu, supporting entrepreneurs in transformation and upskilling program. Okay, but this is the Minister of Commerce and Industry launched the US Startup Setu. What he launched? He launched the US Starting Entrepreneurship in Transformation and Upskilling Program. Okay, in the Bay Area of San Francisco. Okay, Setu are supporting entrepreneurs in transformation and upskilling is an Indian government initiative to help budding entrepreneurs and startup in India to US-based investors and startup ecosystem leaders with mentorship and assistance in various areas. Setu is designed to break the geographical barriers between mentors based in US that are willing to invest in entrepreneurship and sunrise startups in India. Okay, and this Marga is a mentorship portal. Okay, Marga is a mentorship portal under the Startup India initiative. Okay, or mentorship advisor assistance resilience and growth. Marga mentorship advisory assistance resilience and growth program. Marga program, which is a single step solution finder for startups in India, and it was launched in USA. Okay, for the entrepreneurs, the startup entrepreneurs of Indian origin in USA. The core function of Marco includes the improved ease of access, use artificial intelligence for matchmaking, for matching, schedule meeting virtually, host a master class, okay, provide a custom dashboard for relevant information, analytic features, etc. Host cohort based program that will allow startup ecosystem enables to become a part of the program, okay, and enable outcome driven activities. So the emphasis is on the outcome driven activities to be performed under the Marco program. Fine. This is the startup program. So it was launched in USA for the Indian entrepreneurs who want to learn startup in USA. Fine. Then we go to the long questions today. The last few decades where the Asia's growth story are expected to be of Africa. In this light of the statement, examine India's influence in the Africa in the recent years. You see, Africa, which was called as the black continent, slave continent, bad continent, okay, so remain unexplored. In the 19th and 20th century. But as the 21st century approaches, Africa is being projected as the most important player in the 21st century. So it is very well said that the 21st century will be the century of the African countries. Fine. The 21st century will be the century of the African countries. That is very well said. Fine. And there is logic behind this. Why it is so called that the 21st century will be the century of Africans. Why? On what basis? This is being told. Fine. In the last few decades, saw extraordinary growth of Asian countries, mainly driven by China, South Korea, Japan, India, and others. Now the paradigm is tilting towards Africa since 2000. Okay, at least half of the world's fastest growing economy have been in Africa, and by 2030, Africa will be home to 1.7 billion people, whose combined consumer and business spending will be around $6.7 trillion. A surplus of workers is something which is surplus worker country, and that workforce can be used by other countries for their developmental activities. That is why Africa is being highlighted. So, at the country of emergence. Fine. So, okay. India's influence in Africa, in India has a policy which is popularly known as the Focus Africa policy. We have this, under which we want to reorient our approach to the African countries, the support of 54 African countries to India at international forum like UNO, WTO, climate conference. So these African coach, okay, because our close link with the African National Congress and Indian support to many of these African countries in their freedom struggle. Okay, has been able to establish a strong foundation of India's close link with the African countries, because India is able to explore, India in the past has supported the African country in many of their efforts that led India to be trusted among most of the African countries. And to promote that, so few years back, so India launched the Focus Africa policy. Political engagement, so India influence in Africa in recent years. In the political domain, in the last few years, Africa has been the focus of India's development assistance and also diplomatic outreach, as evident in plans to open 18 new embassies. So, government of India plan to open embassy. Why? Because they are big emerging country right now. So where India can open its embassy to strengthen its relationship further with those countries of Africa. Economic engagement, India's duty-free tariff preferential scheme developed nations launched in 2008 has benefited and the fifth largest export destination for South Africa in 2017. The countries of the world. Okay, and African countries are one such group which is the second largest recipient of Indian overseas assistance or line of credit. Fine. Then capacity building. India is investing in capacity building provisions more than 1 billion in technical assistance and training to personnel under the Indian Technical and Economic Cooperation Program in Africa. Fine. Then security cooperation. Approximately 6,000 Indian soldiers are deployed in UN peacekeeping missions in conflict zones of Africa. As you all know, India is a major partner in UN peacekeeping and almost supported all the UN peacekeeping operations. At present, 6,000 Indian soldiers are deployed in peacekeeping operations in many conflict zones of Africa under the UN flag or as UN peacekeepers. Fine. Cooperation on multiple fronts. This includes and military training. So cooperation between India and African countries are diversified. Fine. Then medical diplomacy under the EITC initiative, India has shared COVID-19 from Africa by Indian health experts. And one more thing is that so Indian telemedicine facility. So India has extended its telemedicine facility to the friendly countries and to many African countries. Okay, that is what India is very popular in healthcare scenario in Africa for sharing the expert healthcare to the telemedicine facility of India. Fine. India and Africa offer a lot of opportunities for each other in coming times, like addressing the food security problem, becoming the voice of the developing world, preventing global rivalries, and maintaining diplomatic ties. India and Africa Gandhi Mandela Friendship is a learned in Africa, experimented in India, and finally give India its independence. Following Gandhian method and the support of Indian National Congress, the African National Congress, and the SWAPO. Okay, so they were at the forefront of the freedom struggle in many African countries, and support of India was openly available to the African country in their freedom struggle. That is what is India's contribution to Africa. Then the both share common ideals. Okay, and both are also member of the largest group called the non-alignment movement, which want to follow independent foreign policy, non-interference in each other's internal affairs. Fine. And in time to come, and in the subsequent time, India supported many African countries in their freedom struggle, in their development by providing line of credit, technical assistance, trade, preferential trade facility, and so that need to be explored by both the sides to make it more stronger, so the benefit would be to both the sides. Fine. So after this, let's see what are the MCQs of the day. Okay. What is the theme of the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Sky 2022? It is Air We Share. Okay. So it is the International Day of Clean Air for Blue Sky. So we have made the blue sky black through releasing pollution. So that the air we share. So the future lies there. Fine. So answer is A. Then coming to question number two, consider the following statement about the National Education Policy 2020 launched by the Government of India last year. It was drafted by a committee headed by K. Kasturirangan. Fine. The NEP 2020, the first new education policy to be introduced in India in the 21st century, because the previous policy was in 1986 and which was reviewed in 1992. Okay, so and in the 21st of India, NISTA is a teachers training program. Okay, then Sonidhi is a scheme to facilitate artisans. No, it is not a scheme for the artisans. It is a scheme for the street vendors. Okay, so if you see Sonidhi, okay, PM Sonidhi, okay, is for the street vendors. It is not for the artisans. This is scheme for the street vendors. in the post pandemic period, where they provided 10,000 financial support to restart their business again. Okay, so 2 is incorrect. Then coming to 3, okay. Scheme to promote research and development in science and technology. So this is correct. So 2 is incorrect. So and Manodarpana is a scheme to promote tourism in rural parts of India. It is incorrect. Fine. It's not a scheme for tourism. Fine. So 1 and 3 are correct and 2 and 4 are incorrect to question number 3. Fine. Then coming to question number 4. The term Morning Star. So it is a unmanned aerial vehicle developed by China, which is fully solar power and it can orbit for a long period. And this can be acting as a replacement of the satellites in case of any problem for the satellites. Fine. And China has joined the league with USA in developing such a long stay UAV in the lower. 5, so answer is C for question number 4. Then coming to 5, spraying pesticides on a crop field. Consider the following activity: spraying pesticides on a crop field, inspecting the characters of active volcano, collecting breath samples from spouting wells of DNA analysis. At the present level of technology, which of the following activity can be successfully carried out by using drones? Drones can be used for all these activity, and government has launched the Kishan drone for this specific purpose for spraying pesticides in the crop field. So which is known as the Kishan drone. Okay, and fine. Crop estimate, crop loss estimates, map making, spraying pesticides will be done by the Kishan drone. And the government aerospace have been tagged with Government of India to provide the drone service all over the country. Fine. Then into question number 6. What's the following statement about festival Onam in Kerala? It is a rice harvest festival in Kerala. Lord Vishnu in the Vaman avatar is revered on this day. Fine. So both are correct. Fine. Then 7, to the following statement regarding PM Sri schools for Rising India is correct. It is completely a greenfield project and a centrally sponsored scheme it is not a greenfield project. It is a brownfield project because existing schools will be developed. Okay, under this, existing schools will be developed. Okay, so this. Okay, so that implies that this is not a greenfield project. This will be a brownfield project. And a centrally sponsored scheme. Share be 60-40 between the center and the state. So this is incorrect. PMC school will focus all components of the national education policy, act as example schools and offer mentorship to other schools in the vicinity. 2 is right, but 1 is wrong. So answer will be B for question number 7. Fine. In children among 0 to 6 years, reduce anemia or blood less among the children in 6 to 9 months, reduce the prevalence of anemia among women and adolescent girls, okay, reduce low birth weight. All these are the targets of PM Poshan program launched by the central government. Okay, so question number 9, Kiran Curie Vigyan Jyoti Scheme West Initiative. All are program related to women empowerment launched by the central government of India. Fine. Then coming to the next question, National Clean Air Program launched with a target to reduce 20 to 30% pollution of 2.5 pm and 10 pm by which year? Which is 2024. Fine. With reference to East Economic Forum, the 7 sessions held recently. So both are correct. Then doctrine of essentiality is evolved in which Supreme Court judgment called Siru Amat, and this was dealt by the Supreme Court in the year 1954. This serial murder case was dealt by a 7-judge bench court in 1954 and by a 7-judge bench. Right. Then coming to 13, which of the following expenditure are included in the capital expenditure? Money spent on construction of road is capital. Acquiring fixed and intangible asset is capital. Repayment of loans is capital. Paying salary is not the capital, it's the current one. Okay, salary to the employee is current expenditure. It's not a capital expenditure. So 1, 2, 3 are right, and 4 is incorrect. So answer will be C. Right. Then coming to the next question, question number 14. Okay, hookah love movement is historical importance, which was recently mentioned in Philippines. Okay, document redressal portal. Okay, by the government. Fine. And with this, we are completing today's discussion on current developments with MCQ and common rating. So watch regularly to update yourself and get acquainted with the long answer. ତୁ ମନ୍ଦିର ଫନ୍ଦିର ଯାଇଥିଲୁ ନା ତୁ ଘର ଭିତରେ ତ ନଥିଲୁ ତା ଘରେ ଆସି ମନ୍ଦିର ଭିତରେ ରହିକି ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗେ କଥା ହେଇକି ଆସିବୁ ମୁଁ ସେଇଠି ପହଞ୍ଚିଲି 5ଟା 15ରେ ପହଞ୍ଚିଲି 5ଟା 45 ବାହାରିକି କେତେବେଳେ ଆସିବୁ ଆସିବୁ ଯଦି ଜଲ୍ଦି 2ଟା ଭିତରେ ଆମେ 2ଟା ପଠଉ ତା ପାଖରେ ଆସିବୁ ଯଦି ଆସିବୁ 2ଟା ଭିତରେ ସିଆରପି ପାଖକୁ ଆସିବୁ ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଖାଇବି 2ଟା ବେଳକୁ ହଁ ସିଆରପି ପାଖକୁ 2ଟା ବେଳକୁ କ୍ଲାସରେ ତ ଯିବା ପାରିବୁନି 2ଟା ବେଳକୁ ପୁରା ପ୍ୟାକ୍ ଅଛି ନା सर नमस्कार सर हाँ सर सर କିଏ କହିଲେ ସାର୍? ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ଡାକିନି ସାର୍, ଡାକିବା ଆଉ। ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ଡାକିବା, ଡାକିବା ସାର୍, ଡାକିବା। ନାଇଁ ସାର୍ ଆମେ ଡାକିବୁ ସାର୍। ସାର୍ 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 ଦଉନାହାନ୍ତି ସାର୍। ସାର୍ 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 କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି କି ସାର୍ କାହା କହୁଛନ୍ତି? ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ନାଁ ଶୁଣିଛି ସାର୍, ମୁଁ ନାଁ ଶୁଣିଛି ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ଡାକିବା ସାର୍, ହଁ ସାର୍ ଡାକିବା ସାର୍। ସାର୍ କିଏ ବିଶ୍ୱରଞ୍ଜନ କୋଠା କହିବେ ସାର୍? ସାର୍ ମୁଁ କେତେ ସାର୍ 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 ଡାକିବା ସାର୍, ଡାକିବା ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ବଢ଼िଆ ହବ ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ବଢ଼ିଆ ସାର୍, ସାର୍ ଡାକିବା, ଡାକିବା ସାର୍, ଡାକିବା ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ସୁମନ ଦାସ, ସାର୍ ସୁମନ ଦାସକୁ ବିଶ୍ୱାସ କର ଡାକନ୍ତୁ, ସେ ଆସିବେ ଟାଇମ୍ ଯଦି ଡାକିବେ। ସେ ଆମ ସାର୍ ଆମ ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ସାର୍ ପଇସା ସାର୍ ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ ଭଲ କ୍ଲୋଜନେସ୍। ସାର୍ ସୁମନ ସାର୍ ବା ଫରେଷ୍ଟ ପାର୍କରେ ରହୁଥିଲେ। ହଁ ବାପା ତ ସାର୍ ଗଣେଶ ସାର୍ ତ ବିଷୟରେ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଘରକୁ ବହୁତ ଥର ଯାଇଛି, ମୁଁ ସାର୍ ମତେ ପର୍ସନାଲି ଜାଣିଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍ ମତେ। ସାର୍ ସେ ବା ସାର୍ ଏଠି ସାର୍ ଏଥିରେ ଥିଲେ ନା ସାର୍, କୋଉଠି କହିଲେ ଯୋଉ ଆମର କଲଚରରେ ଥିଲେ ଯୋଉ। ସାର୍ 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 ଆପଣ କଥା ହଉନାହାନ୍ତି ତାହେଲେ ଟିକେ। ସାର୍ ସୁମନ ସାର୍ ନାହିଁ ଆପଣ ସାର୍, ମୁଁ କଥା ହେଇନି ନହେଲେ ଆପଣ କଥା ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ। ବିକାଶ ଦାସ, ହଁ ସାର୍ ଦେଖିବା ସାର୍, ଡିଏଫଓ ହଁ ସାର୍ ଫରେଷ୍ଟ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ତ କରୁଛନ୍ତି, ଦେଖିବା ଡାକିବା। ଆପଣ ସାର୍ ଟିକେ ଆଉ ଆର୍ଥର ସାର୍ ଟିକେ ସାର୍ ଆର୍ଥର ଦେହ ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ କୋଭିଡ ଚାଲିଥିଲା ତ। ସାର୍ ୱାଇପି ସାର୍, ସାର୍ ୱାଇପି ଏକ୍ସପାୟାର କରିଯାଇଥିଲେ। ସାର୍ ଆପଣ ଟିକେ କହିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ଆଉ ସାର୍ ତମ କଥା ହେବେ, କଥା ହେବି। ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍, ହଁ ହଁ ସାର୍ ବଢିଆ ସାର୍, ସେ ଆସିଥିଲେ ସେ ଆମ ପାଖକୁ ଆସିଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍। ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ଆସୁନାହାନ୍ତି। ହଁ ଫୋନ୍ ଛାଡ଼ନ୍ତୁ, ମୁଁ ଆସୁଛି ଏ ଭିତରେ ଦେଖା ମୁଁ ବାହାରିଛି ସାର୍। ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ସାର୍, ସାର୍ ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି ସାର୍, କେତେଥର ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି, 4-5 ଥର ଆସୁଛନ୍ତି, 8 ଥର। ଖାଲି 8 ଥର ଦେହ ଖରାପ ଥିଲା ସାର୍ ମନା କଲେ। ତା ପୂର୍ବ ଥର ସାର୍ ତ ସାର୍ କୋଭିଡ ପାଇଁ ଆସିଲେନି। ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା। ହଁ ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ପୋଲିସ କିଏ କହିଲେ ସାର୍? କିଏ ସାର୍ କହିଲେ? କିଏ କହିଲେ ସାର୍? ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ଡାକିବା କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ। ହଁ ସାର୍ ଆମର ସାର୍ ପୋଲିସ ସର୍ଭିସ ସେଥିରେ ଅଛି ନା, ଆମର ସାର୍ ଏତେ ଡିଏସପି ସର୍ଭିସ ନାହିଁ କି? ଡାକିବା ସାର୍ ଆପଣ। ସାର୍ ବଢିଆ ସାର୍, ଆପଣ ଡାକନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍, ମତେ କଥା ହଉନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍। ଆଜ୍ଞା 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 ସାର୍ ସାର୍ କଥା ହଉ ସାର୍, ସମସ୍ତେ ସାର୍ କିଛି ଲୋକ ଗୋଟେ ଗୋଟେ ଡାକିବେ ନା ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ସେତେ ଟାଇମ୍ ଦେଇପାରିବେନି ଆଉ। ସାର୍ ହଁ ସାର୍ ଏମିତି ସାର୍ କଣ କରିବେ ହଁ। ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ଆପଣ ଆରାମସେ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗେ କଥା ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍, ମାନେ ମାଇଣ୍ଡ ବି ଆପଣ କଥା ହେଇଯିବେ, କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ନାହିଁ ସାର୍। ସାର୍ ଆପଣ କଥା ନାଇଁ ନୁହଁ ସାର୍, ଏଇ ସାର୍ ଗୋଟେ କଥା। ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା। ତାପରେ ସାର୍ ଏଇଠି ଆମର ସାର୍ କଣ କି, ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଅରବିନ୍ଦ ବେରା ବି ସାଇଡରେ ଆମର ରହୁଛନ୍ତି। ସାର୍ ଅରବିନ୍ଦ ବେହେରା ସାର୍ ଅରବିନ୍ଦ ବେହେରା ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ଆମର ସାର୍ ଯୋଉ କିଏ କହିଲେ ଆମର ସାର୍ ଯୋଉ ଇଏ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ଆମର ଯୋଉ ଇଏ ଆମର ବିବି ମିଶ୍ର ଆଇପିଏସ୍ ଏ ପଛପଟେ ସାର୍ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି। ଆଉ ଜଣେ ସାର୍ ଷଡ଼ଙ୍ଗୀ ସାର୍ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି ସେ ରିଟାୟାର୍ଡ ଆଇପିଏସ୍ ଆଇଏଏସ୍ ଜଣେ ସାର୍ ସେ ଥିଲେ ମାନେ ସ୍ପେଶାଲ ସେକ୍ରେଟାରୀ ନା ଆଡିସନାଲ ସେକ୍ରେଟାରୀ ଗୁଜୁରାଟ ନା କର୍ଣ୍ଣାଟକ ସାର୍ ଗୋଟେ। ସାର୍ ମୁଁ ତ ଜାଣିନି ଆପଣ ଯଦି କହିବେ କିଛି ଅସୁବିଧା ହଁ ସାର୍ ବୁଝିଲି ହଁ ସାର୍ ସନ୍ତୋଷ ମହାପାତ୍ର ହଁ ସାର୍। ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ 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 ବଢ଼ିଆ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍ 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 ମୁଁ ଲେଖିକି ଗଲା ସାର୍ ସାର୍ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସାର୍ ନମ୍ବରଟା ଖାଲି ମୁଁ ପଛରେ କଥା ସେୟାର କରୁଛି ସାର୍ 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 ଯୋଉମାନେ ସାର୍ ପଜିଟିଭ ସାର୍ ଯୋଉମାନେ ସାର୍ ପଜିଟିଭ କହିଲେ ମୋତେ ନମ୍ବର ଦେଲେ ସାର୍ ମୁଁ କଥା ହେଇଯିବି ଆଉ ସାର୍ 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 ଆପଣ ଆରାମସେ କଥା ହେଇଯାଆନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍ ମୋତେ ସାର୍ କହିବେ ସାର୍ ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ସାର୍ ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ ସାର୍। सर नमस्कार। ना हाँ एमती क्या कले सब वर्ष गुड़ा मिठा करदे सब वर्ष गुड़ा मिठा करदे ना को एमती कौन माने आप एत मैच्योर्ड पिला एमती कहीं करते जो मूर्खामी न अरे 20 आसले 20 करथा ना सब गुड़ा मारी की सब भूल कर कौन फायदा कटला विद्युत सेक्शन को कलो कटो भी नेबे तो कटि जीवन बाकी मान नंबर रहले कौन फायदा गला सब कटि गला जहां माने सब माने माइनस को दिबा से नेगेटिव मार्किंग एसो हम 100 टारू आपण ठीक करछन केतरा कहू नांती माने सब पॉइंट केते नंबर पाइबे 20 नंबर पाइबे ताल 80 टा कटि गला 80 रो 80 टा आपण केते नंबर माने केते 1/4 25% नेगेटिव तो केते नेगेटिव तो नंबर शून्य हो गला आपण जेएस रे शून्य रखिबे को केमती हो सेटा आपण को सेक्शनल कटअप माने कोन सेक्शनल कटअप ने बिल कोइछन गोटे सेक्शन रे जीरो रखी कोन केते मत लागो आई डोंट थिंक सो बहुत नहीं जीरो कंसीडरेशन से करले हबो करि देले हम कहले हबो सर गोटे सेक्शन रे जीरो रे तो मत के लागो जे गोटे सेक्शन रे जीरो रखले person नेबे मत लागो आपण जणा सुना कहते से 20 टा ठीक है 20 टा आसला 20 टा करता क्या अधिका करथले 5 टा आसला 5 टा करतांते आपण एमती मूर्ख मेला नहीं करथले हां ओटा निहाती माने एते मूर्खामी कोन जण आशा कराओ पहले एते परिश्रम कले एते सब कले तू जो बंदनी माने सब तो बसे सुख पड़ कर देले अरे बोकामी का एते बोकामी काम केंदी करले एते कोन के करन कहले यार आपण सेक्शनल लाइन जानि जल्दी सेक्शनल लाइन जे गोटे सेक्शन रे जीरो रखले कोन देबे सेक्शनल कटअप सेक्शनल क्वालिफाइंग ना नेबेनी गोटे सेक्शन रे जीरो रखते पिला कोन कर देबे मुझे आटे बुद्धि दे काढला नमस्कार ऐसे एक तो आज बारी कल बात जो मीटिंग होतल तो मीटिंग तो कहथिले वीकेंड रे बारी बोली कह देथिले कल तो छुट्टी और आज मीटिंग हिलांटी मीटिंग चलावन तो काट देबे मीटिंग से तो